Hi y'all. So if you have sensitive little ears or you get offended easily, close them or scroll on by, okay? So we've had an interesting last 24 hours. On social media last night, if any of you were following my daughter Gemma, you might have seen a lovely little clip of her being taken away in handcuffs in Dublin by the police. And she's the one who asked me to come on here and clear this up, but you know I'm gonna add my own flavor to it. But anyway, so what actually happened is Gemma had gone to an art exhibit with two of her friends. One is gay, one's bisexual, as if that matters, but they've got all the fabulous clothes on and everything, and so they end up to go into a shop to grab a bite to eat after the art exhibit. And there's a guy standing at the door when they go in. And so when the first guy walks in, he goes, "Fucking faggot." And Gemma's like, and when her next friend came in with her, he's like, "Jesus, you're a fat fucking bird." And that was it. That was it for Gemma. So Gemma turns around and pours a can of 7-Up on his head. Now, I am not condoning violence. And when Gemma is telling me about this, I was like, Gemma. And she's like, "Mom." And I went, 7-Up? And she's like, "Focus, Mom, focus." This is what happens when I'm your mother. And I'm like, "Ooh, that's so full of sugar and gross." And she's just like, "Mom." And so I'm like, "Are you okay?" "Yep, everything's good." So what happens is Gemma gets carted off because the guy at the door happens to be someone who was slipping into a said guard station and cutting the guard's hair during the pandemic when everybody else was not able to do that. And so Gemma got to learn this great lesson about how this kind of thing works. So off she goes because this guy, said, "Look what she's done. She's assaulted me." And Gemma gets carted off by the guards. Well, then she arrives into the guard station, and lo and behold, there's a family friend who's on duty there. And so she got to really see how quickly that can flip, So this one knows this one, so this happened, and because she knew this one, she ends up not being charged nor and released. And so I thought it was such an amazing lesson. Like, what parent are you going to hear saying that? I'm like, "My daughter got arrested, yes." But I was like, "How did it feel?" That was my question. She was like, "Mom, I felt so alive." And I'm like, yes. Anybody who's followed my daughter or seen anything, she's always had, she's had some really big struggles with her mental health, and she has done an amazing job keeping herself up and moving forward and afloat, and it hasn't been easy for her. And so she got this rush last night where I said, "What was it like?" And she was standing up for other people, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, Mom, all of a sudden I was out of my own head. I was there and I was in service to somebody else." And I was like, "Now, you do realize that you don't have to go that extreme." She's like, I know, I understand how it all worked out. And but she's 19, and that fire and that passion, that's what's forging the person that she'll become. So, lucky for her, she's not arrested, and it's not on her permanent record. And, the worst thing she did was pour a can of 7-Up. She's like, "What would you rather I poured?" And I was like, "It's full of sugar." But she learned this great lesson last night, and I'm just really excited for her about that. I'm sorry, but everybody plays a role. Am I excited about the guy who thought it was okay to do what he did? No, I am not. However, I am grateful for the intervention of another human being who would present an opportunity for these kids to show up for each other. Because Gemma got the experience to step out of her own problems in her own head and go and act in service to somebody else, and she got to know what that feels like. And so that's a very important step as she moves forward and she becomes who she becomes. And so she wanted me to explain to everybody what was happening, because that video of her getting arrested is flying all around the internet, and I'm like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, this is awesome. So I just wanted to explain that and clear that up for you. And I'm very proud as a parent right now. I'm proud because she handled herself. Do I consider a can on the head an act of violence? I think what he did and what he said was pretty harsh. And possibly in the moment, you know what, you're 19 and you're slightly enraged. I see how it happened. I'm grateful for the way that it all turned out, and I think some amazing lessons have been learned in light of it, and I'm really proud because you know what? I'm all about the experience. I don't want, nor do I need my kids' lives to be perfect because then they're not learning. So I think this is a pretty incredible opportunity that she had, and a great turning point for her where she got to feel, to embody what it's like to be there and show up and be present for somebody else. And she was like, is this why you help people all the time? And I'm like, yes. The adrenaline that comes with that, the buzz. And it's so much easier to stay out of your own head and your own problems when you are actually in service to others, because remember, we're all fractals of the same whole, and we're just in service to ourselves at the end of the day. So duty done. I'm sharing what actually happened there. So if you see that picture of Gemma smiling, being carried away, I was like, oh my God, you're so my child. That's what actually happened. So rock on, and peace out, guys.